So first of all, we will see what is the challenge. So challenge is you have to create a simple chessboard, a normal chessboard with these colors. Okay, and as soon as when you click on some of the cell, it should highlight all the diagonals. It should highlight all the diagonals. Okay, and if you click again in the same chessboard, you have to reset back. You have to reset the previous active thing, and you have to draw it again. So if you see, we are drawing it again after resetting it. Okay, so we have multiple use cases, we have a multiple corner cases. Okay, second thing, if you see the console, there should not be any error. Okay, so these things you have to take care. As soon as I click outside, you have to reset it. So this is what is the expectation of whole challenge 3. So let's see how we have created it. First of all, let's inspect it and see how what is the DOM structure. Okay, so I'm zooming a little bit. So if you see, we have a div board. Okay, we have a one single div, that's it. Okay, one parent div where we are creating this DOM, where we are creating this chessboard. Okay, so if you see, we have height and width. I'll walk through code as well, but first see how is the layout. Okay, so what is the height and width? If you hover it, and if you see, we have a height and width is 500. We have display flex. If you're not aware of the flex, go and read about the flex properties. It's awesome. It saves a lot of lines of CSS code. Okay, so this is basically display flex. Why I have given display flex? If I see, if you click here, we have these rows, right? We have these rows. We want this rows like in this direction, horizontal direction. Okay, not at one place. So with the help of flex direction column, we have done this. If you see now, if you can see it now, right now, if flex direction column is not there, by default flex direction row is there. If you use display flex, right, by default. Okay, so in this case, what will happen, the rows look like this. So we need flex action column. Similar way, we have done same thing. So after that, what we have done, we just added display flex direction column and border. This is for the border. If you see, this is for the border, and this is for the border radius. If you observe a little bit, we have a border of 5 pixel. Okay, so we have given a border as well, and after that we have given a 1 pixel padding. It's just for the UI. It looks good when you give. So these minor things I'm not looking for. So these are the different things. I'm just looking for the logic part. Okay, so this is the way we have created the chessboard. Second thing, when you click on row, if you click on row, I have added white black alternate. Okay, based on some logic, I have added the white black. You can avoid this white. Few people have avoided it. This is fine, perfectly fine, not an issue. But why I have given a white black? Because suppose if we have a background of body, something called red, and if you have not given white, it can take the background color. Okay, so it can create a chaos. I'll tell you, Ankit. Yeah, good point. So I'll tell you how my chessboard is in the center. Okay, so if you see, that's why we have given the like see, if you see, if I remove the white class, right, so it can take the background color. So I have just think out for the future perspective, if background color is not that white, if it is something else, then it can disturb our chessboard. So I have attached the white and black CSS class alternate. Okay, so the Ankit is asking how my CSS board is in center. Is in center means, if you see, automatically it is aligned, right? Automatically it is aligned center from left and right, and center from top and bottom, if you observe. So what I have done in the body, I have given display flex, and I said justify content center. So let's remove first. Okay, let's remove display flex. So if you're not having any CSS, if you have not having any CSS, it will automatically come where? In the top positions, like left and top 0, left 0. Automatically it will start from the entry point. So what I have done, I said just attach display flex. So display flex itself is not going to help. So we have attached justify content center. So if I done justify content center, it will come horizontally. It will come in the center horizontally. If you remember, we have align center. earlier, like in the css, old css part, align center is there. We can do div as well. If you give margin auto, and that can also, in that sense also we can do it. So in main axis, give some height where you want to give height versus div. We have height of that particular div, right? We have height and width, height and width. Why we need to give height? Tell me why we need to hard code anything to the body. We have given, right, height and width, but how you want in the center, with the help of flex we are doing it. With the help of flex, it comes in the center. Then align item center will help us to put in vertically center. So if you observe, align item center is helping us to put our board part in the middle of the screen. So basically this is helping us in the middle to make middle. This is clear. Can we move to the chessboard? Okay. So this is what, if you see each row, if you see each row, if you see each row is having 8 columns. Okay, 8 columns with alternate white and black. And also I have attached some unique ID. So suppose if user is clicking on this part, so you should know which is the active cell. So by clicking on it, we are getting like 0:4. So 0 is the row and 4 is the column. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth is the column and 0th is the row. Okay, so by this we are getting it. How we can create, we'll see when we'll walk through the code. But first we need to see how this is happening. Okay, so suppose if I click here, if I click on 03, just observe, we are removing this class. Okay, we are removing this class. Just see the DOM, just see the inspect part where we are doing the DOM manipulations. This is what we need. And when we click outside, you have to remove the background. Okay, so what few people have done, few people have attached the black. They have identified which color was there. They have attached black, they have attached white. But if we have to take advantage of CSS specificity. CSS specificity says if inline CSS is there, then these classes will not work. Okay, so what is happening when this inline CSS is there, then this white will not work. And as soon as we'll remove it, automatically class will take priority, and black or white, whatever it is, it will come in the picture. Okay, so this is what the DOM part. This is what we need as a challenge 3. Let's see how we have created this DOM. So first we will see this board part, creation part, then we will see all the event listeners. Okay, this is clear, guys. Till here it is clear what is the expectation and what we want. Okay, great. So let's move to the code. So what we have done, suppose you have to create a chessboard utility, and you want to export it, Akshay, it's fine. It's fine. You can use X and Y as well. That's not an issue. So Akshay's question is, so for example, I have taken both the things at one place, like 3:2. You can use it as a 2 attribute, not an issue. But think of it, it will increase little bit size. It will increase the size. It's minute, but I'm saying it is increasing a little bit size. Okay, so that's not an issue. We are not worrying about all these things, but yes, it's fine. You can have X and Y as well. It will create a new key, then again you will look for that. So I think you can use both the things, but taking at one place is also fine. Okay, let's not make it more complex. There were so many ways to implement the chessboard, but let's see how I have done. Okay, so simple thing, we need a single div. Okay, we need a single board, a single portion where JavaScript will create a grid, not static. Few people have done the static grid. Next time try to improve it. Don't create static, so that in this way, if you do 10:10, it will not work because you have hard coded it. Okay, so this is what we need. So for example, you have created a utility and you have you have published in the npm. Okay, so if we are using a utility, we just want to say create your board in this particular div, create your board in this particular div, and we need by default 88. If you want your code should be more generic, what you can do, I have not done it, but you can assign some default values. For example, you can default some default default values. So if I say you, if you are not passing it, automatically it should take it. Okay. And if you are passing it some other values, it should take that. It should take that. You got my point, guys. Why we need all these things. Also, if you observe, my cells are dynamic. They're not static because of display flex. If let's make it 4 4, let's make it 4 4. If you observe, our cells height and width are dynamic because of flex. The portion of board part is hard coded, like height and width of board is 500 500. Okay, 500 pixel 500 pixel. But we have not hard coded any column height and width. This is what we need. That's why we are saying you to use display flex, because it will automatically create based on the parent width. Okay, so it will automatically divide because of this. So if you see how it is divided, it is divided because of flex 1. It is divided because of flex 1. Flex 1 is saying maintain the ratio, maintain the all children ratio to its parent. So this is what we have used. Okay, so let's return it to 8 8. Let's make it 8 8. So the question is, we will show you, Janil, 1 second. We can have common parameters for rows and columns. We can have, correct, we can have. But I'm saying if you want something like this, like 8 rows and 6 columns, for that I have given this flexibility. So this is what a scalable application. You can scale as well. But yes, in case of chessboard, it should be square. Completely agree. You can do it in that sense as well. Okay, so let's see the board. Let's see the board code. CSS part is pretty much clear. What I have done, if you're not aware with box sizing, just don't confuse now. So this is what to make chessboard in the center, display flex and center, all these things. This and the padding, all this border and all. Okay, this is what to make rows equally. Okay, like it should take width equally, like height equally in the board, and same as with column. Then I have created three classes: black for black cell, white for white cell, and red for when you click on some of the cell, it should come red. So CSS part is very easy. It's not that tough, and most of you, maximum people have done the same way. Okay, let's move to the board part. First of all, we have to generate the board. Okay, this part is important. First step, if I say first step is to create a board. Okay, let's comment it out, the bind part. Let's see how it is looking. Okay, because of the generate board, it is coming. So let's see what I have done. Okay, so what I have done, first of all, we got the ID where we need to create the board. Okay, this is the element where we will append all the rows and columns. Okay, this, we have taken the rows, we have taken the columns. By default, which color you want? Let's see this. Very light. Are you able to see it? Why I have given a separate variable? I just wanted to explain like how you can make your code more generalized. I have seen very less people have done it. They have hard coded the red, but if you can use color and you can expect color from, I can say by default from user, and if you can make it more generalized, you can. Let's see, if I'm not passing color, what will happen? If I'm not passing color, it will take red. If user is passing some color, it will take user shade color. This is the way to create a utility. Okay, this is the way in interviews they'll expect. So for example, you have shown this example to the interviewer, okay, and they'll say this is nice, but I want more scalable, I want more generalized. So they'll ask you in the interview what else you can do it. So they can say we can make grid generalized. Instead of 8x8, we can ask just pass n and we'll create based on your input. You can tell right now color is hard coded. So sometimes stuck with the time. Like I have given you 60 or 90 minutes, right? So you can say in 60 minutes I have done this part, and if I get more time, I can scale it at the next level. Okay, so you can say we can, if user is not passing color, we can take some default color, and if user is passing color, we can take that. Okay, you can add animations, you can add something else, you can add like some more functionality. So this is what you can explain all these things to interviewer. Okay, so let's leave it that part, green part. So this is for the color. Why I have taken active cell? So let's take an example. I have not seen any example who has done like this. So what is the use of active cell? So right now tell me, what is the active cell? What is the active cell right now? I have refreshed this, I have refreshed this page. Tell me what is the active cell right now. So if I'm saying, if I'm clicking here, what you have to do, you have to reset the grid, right? You have to reset the grid. What I am doing, I am just clearing this portion, the highlighted one. I am clearing the highlighted one. I'm not doing any operations in rest of the cells. That's why I am tracking which was the last active cell. Okay. So before clicking, we have to reset, right? Before clicking, we have to reset. So I am taking care which was the active cell so that I can clear only this portion. You got my point? So how many? These are 8 cells, right? 8 cells, clearing of 8 cells or clearing of 64 cells, which is better? So let's take right now, this is 8 cross 8. If it is 10 cross 10, so the complexity will increase like n square, right? So in that sense, you can improve the complexity. You just are clearing these number of cells. How many? 8. Okay, that's why we are storing this active cell. So we'll tell you how we are doing it. So we will also see. Yes, you can say Akshay instead of. So I have not captured this. This is nice. So for example, what Akshay is saying, Akshay is saying, suppose I'm clicking here. Okay, I'm clicking here. Again it is building the U. It is again we are coloring. It is not visible, but again it is clearing. So we can say if active cell and the current cell is same, don't color, return from a function. This is what actually you want to say. If we can click on the same cell, right? If we click on the same cell, just identify if this is the previous cell, so don't color it and don't reset it. We can save it. Yes, we can save it. So you can say all these things in the interview when interviewer is asking how we can improve your code. Okay, so this is what the next part. So is it storing all the highlighted cell in the array? It's better or worse? uh, Yes, it depends on the use case, but I say in this case, no need to have stored, because you use some extra memory, right? It depends. I'm saying it depends. It totally depends on the use case. So in this case, I think this is not the better option to store the highlighted results. So let's, why I'm saying this, if suppose if we have 100 cos 100, let's say I have shown you pixel art, right? A few days back. So this is what we have, n number of cells. Right now we have cells like height 30 and 50. I think 30 is the column and 50 is the width. In that sense, you have to store it, because let me clear it. Okay, in this way, because you have to perform undo operations, or you have to perform redo operations. Okay, and if you are doing something like this, you have to store. You have to store, because this is the way. If you know, if you use Google Excel, right, they're maintaining a stack to perform these operations. So in this, when there is a use case, you have to store. But if use case is not there, no need to store. And there were multiple ways to store all these things. So this is like, you can say it's totally depend on the use case. So in this chessboard, I think storing the cells is not a good approach. Again, we can calculate from that function what are the diagonals, and we can revisit again. Okay, so let's move back. So first task is to generate the board. Okay, let me comment the bind events. Let's generate it. Generation part is very simple. Generation part is very simple. How we have to generate? This is the simple logic. Okay, first what we'll do, we'll create a fragment element. Fragment element, if you're not aware, I have explained all these things in the previous two challenges, and if you're new, you missed this part. This is basically a temporary element. So what we will do, we will iterate n cross n. We will iterate 8 cross 8 times. Okay, so what will happen, we are creating a row. These are the rows, then we are adding 8 columns. Okay, then we are adding 8 columns. Where we are adding in the row. Okay, we are adding columns in the row, then we are adding that row in the fragment part. We're adding that row in the fragment part. This is, guys, we have already seen in the previous challenge, and I think everyone has done at least the generate board part. Okay, so this is what we are adding. So suppose if we add this row, if we add this row directly in the element, what will happen, we are going to have 8 DOM operations. So this will also work. If we can comment it, if we can comment these 2 lines, and if we can see the DOM chessboard, it is working fine. It is working fine. So if you observe, we are doing 8 time operations, 8 time DOM operations to insert the row. Just see it. We are doing this line is there in the for loop, right? So 8, this, how many times this row for loop will work, same n number of operations is going to happen. Okay, so 8 times DOM operation. So what we have done, we have said create a document fragment. Document fragment, let's see why I'm doing this. Create element. Let's see what will happen if we use document.create element. See the UI, we have extra div. We have extra div. Right now we are doing only DOM operations once, but we have an extra div. We don't need extra div. So we said create a document fragment. Automatically, this div is not going to append in the board section. The children of this is going to append. So basically, this is a hidden div, you can say. In a layman language, this is a hidden div. Okay. So are you guys clear with this portion? Right now, no, I'm clicking it. There is no bind events. I have just created the chessboard. Let's see how we are having the white and black. This is this line, how we are having this white and black. Let me comment it out. Let me comment this line. Let's see how it is coming in the UI. So if you see row and column, every column is having a background red. Okay, every column is having a background red. And if it's better if I can give border 1 pixel, solid, some light color. If you see, so our columns have created. We have created the columns. Okay, we have created the columns, but we have not assigned a classes which looks like a chessboard. So how we need, let's see how we need. First, let's check the logic. How we need. So let's compare which is the cell value. What is the cell value for this? What is the cell value for this? In terms of if we are starting from 0 colon 1, like 0 1, right? So 0th row and 1 index. Okay, this one black, we are just considering black. 0 3 0 3. Okay, we are just considering black. This one, last one, 7 0. Are you getting any pattern? Are you getting any pattern? Like if we add rows and column and modulo by 2, it is an odd number. Okay, so what is the logic? If it is odd, put black. If it is even, put white. So simple logic. I have seen people have added like if else. That is also fine. That is also fine. Even for white, odd for black. You can do like this. So what I'm doing, I'm just adding the row and column, modulo by 2. We are just finding it is even or not. If it is even, just put white class. If it is odd, just put black class. This is clear. Till here it is clear. Just see the code. Instead of writing if else, I'm just doing with the ternary operator, like conditional. Okay, this is clear. Akshay is saying, is it faster coloring board with CSS than JS? Hmm. So I'll tell you one thing. So you know about critical rendering path. That is fine, Akshay. Not an issue. You can using, you have to add some calculation and you can do that as well. So critical rendering path is until CSS is not loading. So basically it's a loading part. So I want to avoid the CSS part and I want to put in the JavaScript part. Okay, so you can use CSS approach as well. That is not an issue. I'll look into the code. I'll show your code to everyone. We'll see that part. Okay, Akshay, we'll see what you have done. So anything will be fine. But what I want if I'm creating grid from JavaScript part. So I said let's do it through JavaScript. So anything will be fine. It's totally depend. So I'll explain all these performance thing as well in the end if I'll get time. Okay, so this is what the generation part. This is clear. I'll explain, Ankit. This is a big topic, critical rendering path. I'll explain. Okay. Okay. So I'll explain what is render tree, what is CSS tree, what is DOM tree. These are the separate topics. So we can have a separate session on the performance thing. So guys, there are a lot of things to learn on front end. So don't worry, I'll cover all these things. So this is the part for generate board. Let's see what we have in the bind events. Okay. Let's see what we are having in the bind events. So we are having a simple click event. That's it. We have a simple click event. Let me comment it out. We'll go step by step. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about all these things. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let me comment it out. The first step is we need to find out in which cell we are clicking it. Okay, so let's move to the demo. If I'm clicking here, I'm getting 3,3. This is clear. We have attached the click event. We have attached the click event to the element. If you observe, if only if we are clicking if in the bold, then only we are getting it. Okay, I can clear it again. If I'm clicking here, I'm clicking in the outside. Event listener is not triggering. I'm just clicking here. When I'm clicking in this inside the bold, then only I'm getting this values in which cell I have clicked. So the next part is we have to color it. Okay, so how to color it? Coloring part is very easy. Just I have created a separate function. Then I am saying just pass whatever color is there. Okay, so instead of this, if you see the code, this is clear. Wherever I am clicking it, just color it. This line of code. So this time what I have done, I have created a separate utility, separate function, basically a separate small baby function. Usually we say baby function in the technical term. So this is a small function irrelevant of the logic. So when right now there is a two approaches. One is object oriented and a functional approach. So this is basically a functional approach. We create a function even for small things, so that if any error is there in this particular line, it should not impact the rest of the code. Okay, so that's why I have created a single separate function. Okay, you can say isolation. Okay, so in this case, if any error is coming and readability is there, you can say pure function. So not exactly it's a pure function, because in pure function the mutation is not there, Akshay. So this is impacting, if you observe, this is impacting the DOM. Okay, this is impacting the DOM. So pure function is not impacting the DOM. So that is a different approach. So I'll explain. So don't worry. I'm having a whole course on these topics, pure functions, compositions. So don't worry. We'll go with the flow. Okay. So in this function is responsible for coloring. Okay, Dheeraj, I'll come to your point. Remind me to cover your point. So this function is responsible for coloring. Okay. So what Dheeraj is saying, we have color. You can use this dot color as well. Yes, we can use this dot color as well. But there is one more approach. Why I am not using this dot color? I'll tell you. When we do clearing, right? When we do clear part, reset part. So there, what I'm doing, I'm passing none. So don't worry, I'll come to that point as well, Dheeraj. This query is going to be resolved. So this is clear. I'm attaching a event listener, and I'm just filling it with some background. Let's run it again. I'm just clicking it. It means my event listener is working fine. This is the way you have to do it. Okay. So I can assume if you have done challenge two, this will this part will take max 25 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. That's it. I have seen so many people have done in that time. Tell me if I'm wrong. If you have practiced challenge 2, this part has not taken more than 25 to 30 minutes. Rest 1 hour was there to find the logic of diagonal. So if you are not able to do it, if you are not able to create this part, you have reduced your diagonal logic time. So this is what we need. So this is clear. Till here it is clear. We attach the event listener. We just now we need to clear it. And yes, so in this challenge, this is what in this challenge the main concept was diagonal and tricky. That's why in the Telegram group I have said practice challenge 2. This is going to help you in the third challenge. Okay, so let's see the next step. Okay, so what we can do, let's store the active cell. 1 second. Okay, so what I have done, let me revert it. Okay, so what I have done, tell me, let's capture the first like basic first scenario. Tell me right now active cell is empty or not. I have refreshed it. Right now active cell is empty or not. Empty. Correct. So tell me in this line this is true or false. Basically when this double and like basically and operation is will perform, so it will convert to boolean, right? We will see this is falsy value or not. If you're not aware with the falsy value, I'll cover that falsy value. There are 6 falsy values: false, empty string, then undefined, null. What else? Zero. These are the nan as well as nan. Empty array is not falsy. Okay, empty array is not falsy. Okay, empty array is not falsy. So these are the falsy values. So tell me if this condition is false, will it go to this part? No, right? So this functional part, it will not go. Okay, so next part is to get the cell value. We got the cell value. Okay, by this we got the cell value, and I have said store in the active cell. I said store in the active cell. Okay. Okay. So why this line is important? For example, suppose in case we are not getting a cell, in case we are not getting a cell, this cell part, this property, if we are not, cell should exist. Yes, general cell should exist. So if you observe, let me create some scenario. So you're saying cell should exist if I increased the padding. Okay, and if user is clicking here, because event listener is listening, the whole board. Okay, and if we click, I'm clicking it continuously. I'm clicking it. Event listener is triggering. It is triggering. But if we remove this condition, it will try to create. What happened? Oh, sorry. So what will happen? Let's increase the padding. and if we do, are you seeing the errors? Are you seeing the error? My code break, right? So what I have done, I have added an extra check. This is a what do you say, ninja technique to write the code. So instead of if and else, just use this operation. Basically there is a term for this, circuit breaking. Usually we say circuit. Okay, so if this is not true, this it will not go beyond it. So basically you're breaking the circuit. Okay, so either you can write if else, or you can put this cell in if, but I'll say just write a more readable code. Okay, so what I have done, if this is the case, handle these things, because in the previous uh, pixel art, right, we have not done this, and maybe in any of the case we can encounter an error, right? So it's better to do it, because when interviewer is asking, because when I am asking this question to you and I'm taking your interview, I know all these corner cases. I'll ask you, if this is the case, what will happen? So you'll say, yeah, we can add a if condition for that. We can first validate the cell exists or not. Okay, so I'm just telling you so that you can take care of all these use cases, corner cases, for the future hackathons, for future competitions. Okay, not even for the DOM challenge, but if you're going for an interview, you can look into that. So Yash is saying why we cannot add event listener to the cell. Your point is absolutely correct. But tell me, how many cells are there right now? 64. Right now, the case is very small. 64. Okay. So what you will do? Let's look into this. Has anybody done that? They have attached the event listener to the cell. Tell me. Anyone is there who has attached the event listener to the cell? We'll get in the first challenge. You have that link. Yes. Can you share your JS Fiddle? If you have, so I'll tell you. So for example, let's inspect it. If we attach event listener to each cell, how many event listener will have in the program? 64. How number of cells we have, number of event listener. And like right now, let me open yours. Maybe is one second. No? There it went. Sorry. So you have attached on the cell. Let's see. Your board. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Let's inspect. Are you able to see my screen, guys? Okay. So let's see. Okay. Get event listeners on $0. Don't worry what I have done for $0. $0 is basically the active element. I'm not sure you have attended my Chrome talk. So there I have explained all these things. So $0 is the last active inspect element. Okay. So in that sense, what you have to do, if you see every cell is having a 3 listener. Oh, nice. So he has attached 3 listener. Click mouse over, mouse out. Okay, so it means 64 into 3. How many? 64 into 3 number of event listeners he is having. But in the last challenge solution, I explained you have to use event delegations, right, Shruti? So this is the concept of event delegation. That's why we are using this data cell approach. Okay, that's why we are going with the data cell approach. Because when you click on the board, we just need to find out the target element. Okay, so this is what the target element, we are getting the target data set. Okay, this is the way we are getting the cell. So this is fine. Don't worry about the stop propagation. We'll see. No worries, yes. So, but yes, I am explaining you right now. Okay, so go ahead with this approach. Now create again. Okay, so this is what we are doing. Now tell me, so right now active element is empty. Okay, so it will not go in this part. This will not execute this. Let's go back. If I clicked here, it will not go because active element was not there. We got the cell value. Now what we have done, we have make our active cell. This is what we have done. We have make our active cell. Okay, now we are generating a diagonal. Don't worry about the diagonal logic. I'll tell you what we are doing. Okay, but first we need to look into the clearing part, reset part. Next time when we are clicking it, suppose we are clicking here in this cell, tell me, tell me this thing, what we have to do. Let's walk through. Active cell is there. Active cell is there. Okay, what we are saying, this is the active cell. Find all the diagonals and color it with null. Color it with null. So we are what we are doing. We are getting calling these functions and we are saying traverse again and make it null. Make it null. Traverse again and make it null. If you see, when before clicking here, when I clicked here, automatically this will first goes empty. This will go empty. This is clear, guys. I'm saying don't, for the reset logic, I'm saying call the diagonal function again. For the reset logic, I'm saying call the diagonal function again and assign a null color. Basically, remove that CSS class. As soon as let's inspect. As soon as you click somewhere, automatically it will remove. Because background null is not there, so it will remove any valid property. You can assume like that. This is clear, guys. What I was doing for resetting. Do you think reset logic is very tough? Do you really think the reset logic was tough? No, we just need to think of. We just need to think of how we can make the code easy. That's why I have break all the logic into functions. I'm just following function approach. This is the way we are building a large application with the help of functions, so that it should not impact again and again. A reusable code. So I said that's why I was expecting a color in the fill, because when you pass null here, I'm calling again this fill function, and we are doing this. Okay, so again the next question is, the next part is, if I'm clicking outside, what you have to do? Tell me what you have to do when I'm clicking outside. You have to do the same thing. You have to call the diagonal function with null. First attach an event listener. Just check active cell is there or not. If active cell is not there, then we don't need to call this diagonal with null, right? If active cell is there, then only call it. So what we are doing, we are calling with the null. Let's see the code. I'm coloring it. Why I'm not able to color it? Tell me why I'm not able to color anything. I'm just clicking here. Why I am not able to color it? Because of event bubbling. Event bubbling is the concept. I'll tell you what. Just focus on the DOM tree. What exactly is happening? It is bubbling out when I'm clicking in any of the cell, right? Click operation is happening. Click goes to bold. Click goes to body. It is going up. It is bubbled. So I'm saying, if you are clicking anywhere, then stop bubbling, stop propagation. That's why I have added this stop propagation. So if I'm clicking anywhere, now the click event is not passing to the body. From board to body, from body to document. So this is the hierarchy. Okay, so when we click anything on the board, after that click event is passing to the body, and body passes that event to the document. So this is what is happening. Okay, and we have attached another event listener to the document. It feels like you are again calling the document and it is resetting it again. So you have to think of where to apply stop propagation. Okay, so how to do it? When you clicking on it, right? So in the bold, you have to write, don't pass the click event to its parent. Okay, this is clear, Costa? Akshay, it totally depends on the use case where you want. Sometimes when you do like this, right? It is it. For example, I'll tell you one thing. You know Google Analytics, what Google Analytics is doing when you include your Google Analytics in your website, it is capturing all the events. How like I can say, have you seen news website, Times Now or anything? How they are showing ads at this place? Why they are showing ads only at this place? And why they are how they decide where to show ads? Because because they are capturing all the things where user is staying more, like in this page or in which page, where user is clicking, how Amazon and Flipkart are giving you suggestions. Do they attach event listener to each of the product? If you click any of the product multiple times, they know that you are visiting this product, that particular product. They have not attached any event listener to every individual item. They have not done like that. They have done the event delegations. They're listening like which target you have clicked. So in that sense, they're capturing. So if you do event dot stop propagation, they're not able to do it. They're not able to get it in where you have clicked. So if you have attached the event delegations to body in that sense, so in that use case, you should not use the stop propagation. In that sense, you should not use in when I'm doing my project like as a if I'm making the product, I'll say do not use, do something else. So if we will not use, if we will not use, then we have attached the click listener to the document, and it will not allow to create. So if you see, it is we are coloring it. As soon as we are coloring it, we are removing it. So if you remove this line, right, it means we are coloring it. But as soon as this line executes, right, as soon as this line executes, it is again resetting it. So you can say red. So we have green, right? But red is coming because of this line. So it means this is triggering. Okay. So this is what stop propagation we need in this example. This is clear. This is clear, guys. So I'm saying don't pass the click event to the document. Don't pass click event to the document. Okay. So this is clear. I have said we know the clearing part. Now we know when you click outside what will happen. So the portion is the diagonal, how you are coloring the diagonal, right? So let's take this. So how you will know that bubbling is, see, you're getting right. You are not able to color it because you are document is triggering. Because when I have written this code, see, initially I didn't get to know that I have to stop propagation. Initially when I was creating this part, right, when I was creating this challenge, stop propagation is not there in my mind. When I face this issue, like this event is triggering, let's say console.log document triggered. Okay, let's see if I'm clicking here. Let's see document is triggering or not. See, document is triggering, and this is not I want. This is not I want. I said only when you are clicking here, then only it should trigger. See, wherever I'm clicking, we're getting it. So I said I know the concept of stop propagation. I have read all these things. I know all the JavaScript now. So I know there is something called stop propagation, and if you can use, it will not pass event to the document. So if you add this part, and if you add this part, it will not propagate. It will trigger only when you're clicking on the document, not on the board. This is clear. So the question is, we can also pass second argument. Yes, we can pass. You're right, Rahul. So this is what we need to go step by step, Rahul. The one who is not aware with the stop propagation, they, if I say false, they're not able to learn it. Okay, so I'll cover all these things. When you have the same event for both child and parent, and you don't want to child trigger, yes, yes, same event, yes, click, right? In this case, we have child and parent are the same event, I click, and we don't want to pass this to the parent. So you absolutely correct. Okay, let's move to the diagonal part. The last logic is the diagonal. So suppose I'm clicking here. I'm clicking here. Let me console it so that it will be easy. When I where I can click, I can console.log and I can say which is the active cell. Let me remove this line. So now if I'm clicking here, so the thing is I'm clicking at 3:3. Third, not third row. If I'm starting from zero, it is a fourth row and fourth column. Okay, fourth row and fourth column. Tell me how we can find the diagonals. Just think of it. Let's start from here. Okay, I'm saying I have used two loops. Okay, two loops means one for top, one for bottom. I have seen some examples. They have used one for right, one for left. Either you can use one loop for top, one loop for bottom, or you can use one loop for left, one loop for right. Okay. In my case, what I have done for top and bottom. One, what will happen right now? What is the row and what is the column? Just tell me what is the column. Column is 3, right? And row is 3. So I am saying decrease row every time. In the first loop, decrease the row. First, right now it's 3, then it's 2, then it's 1, then it's 0. Okay, one loop will go like this. In the another loop, I'm saying increase the row. Increase the row. 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the way I have written two loops. One loop will decrease the row, one loop will increase the row. This is fine. This is fine. How we are doing the loop. So if you observe the diagonal part, one loop is decreasing the row, one loop is decreasing the row, and another loop is increasing the row. Why? We are doing like this. We are doing how we are doing. We are one loop is going upward and one loop is going downward. So row, now we got to know how we have to move the row, right? Now we need two pointers. I have taken two pointers, left and right. In each of the row, I have taken left and right. Let's take this up scenario. What I have done, as soon as you decrease the row, right? Initially, first assign left and right to the column value. Left and right to the column value. Right now, column is what? 3. So left is 3, left is 3, right is 3. Okay. As soon as you decrease the row, decrement left and increment right. Decrement left and increment right. Why? We need to create diagonal, right? What I have done, left 3, 3. Now left 2, right 4. Again, you got one value, right? You got one value, decrease, right, increase. So if you see, every time I'm iterating the row, I'm decreasing the left and I'm increasing the right. This is the way we need. This is the way we need, right? Decrease the decrease the left and increase the right. This logic, you got it? What I'm doing in this case? Just say why. If anyone is having doubt right now, please ask me now. It's a simple logic. One loop is going upward, one loop is covering the down part of that particular cell. In that particular cell, we have assigned the column value to the left and right, same column value to the left and right. And when we are iterating it, I'm saying decrement left, color it. Increment right, color it. Increment right, color it. Decrement left, color it. Decrement left, color it. Increment right, color it. Now the corner case. Corner case is we have to find out left is not exceeding 0, like negative value, and right is not exceeding 0 value, negative value. So if you see, left should be greater than equal to 0, then only fill it. Right should be less than 8 because right is going in this direction, right? It should be less than 8. If it is not, like it is not less than 8, then it's an issue. So this is the case I have added. Okay, so this is the case I have added. So this is the way you are coloring the top part. Okay, so let's comment it out. Let's comment it out. Let's say what will happen. Are you getting it? The upper part? Upper part, guys. Now what we need to color the bottom diagonals as well. This is fine, but in this case what will happen, we need to cover the bottom one as well. Same thing, same approach. Let's say what we have to do, left and right should be equal to column, then decrement the left, increment the right, decrement the left, increment the right, decrement the left, increment the right, and it left should be greater than 0 and right should be greater less than 8. Same thing. So what you can do, you can put this logic in some different function and you can use it. That is up to you, but I want to explain you so that this logic part should be easy for you. That's why I have done like this. This is clear, guys? This diagonal part, do you think this is tough now? The whole part, if I say you, let me save this file. So if you say, these questions companies are asking. Amazon was asking this question in the first round. One of my friend went and I have seen they have asked this question and they have given 45 minutes. They wanted to see display flex or not. They wanted to see do you know DOM manipulation or not. They wanted to see do you know event listeners or not. So this is the way people are judging. So why right is less than 8? This is a nice question. So for example, in this case, what will happen? In this case, one second. Let me do some, yeah. This is the case, right? So Dheeraj, I got your point. So if this is the case, tell me how many up row will run? How many times the first loop will run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times it will run. Dheeraj. Okay. So how many times increment and decrement operation will perform? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same with right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tell me, do we have these index? 8, like right 9, right 10, right 11 is there? No, right? That's why we added a check. That's why I've added, like, don't fill it, otherwise it will throw an error. So basically it's a check. How you can do it? You can do like this, right is less than 8 and remove this part. Let's see. Getting it? So your point is correct. Right now I have hard coded it. You don't need to hard code it. You have to write column. This dot columns. Instead of 8, you have to write. So guys, this is what I wanted to explain to you. So you can make it generalized.